Ever since I was a little boy, people have loved listening to the sound of my voice. Hey guys, hope you've had a good week. Now let's settle in for another episode of the Best of Netflix to get the weekend started off right. For the action category, we have the film Snowpiercer. Now this one takes place in the future, where they attempted to fix global warming by shooting this thing into the sky, but actually things went wrong and actually froze the planet. So now there's a train constantly going around the globe with very few survivors left on it. And on this train, there's like a caste system with the lower classes in the back and the higher classes in the front. And this is a story of a few rebels in the lower class that have to work their way up to the front in order to figure out how to stop the train and end the corruption throughout the train. This one is definitely a very fun adventure. It's got tons of great ideas. It's got a little bit of a plot twist at the end. It's got great visuals, great action, great stunt work. It's by far one of the best films that I've seen that actually introduces some new concepts about not only global warming, but different action pieces, which we haven't seen in a while, probably since Speed, as far as like being set on a automobile or some type of locomotive. It's definitely a fun concept, and you should check this one out. For comedy, we have Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Now this one is about NASCAR driver Ricky Bobby, who's obviously a fake NASCAR driver for the film. But he gets all this fame and fortune and has all these great sponsors, and he's living the high life until a Formula One driver comes and shakes his confidence. He ends up losing it all, and then he actually goes back home in order to figure out how to be a better driver, figure out what he really wants in life. He goes back and succeeds and all that good stuff. This has to be by far one of the funniest and absolutely probably one of my favorite Will Ferrell films. It's filled with classic lines. There's tons of great things that happen in this movie, including great dialogue and great quotes, like, if you ain't first, you're last. I'll paint your back porch red. I'ma come at you like a spider monkey. And of course, Shake and Bake. Again, this is one of my favorite Will Ferrell films. If you just need something funny to watch and you want to watch Will Ferrell be a redneck and be stupid, something that he's really, really good at, definitely watch this one. It's, again, one of my favorites of all time. For family, I've chosen the film The Little Rascals. Now, this has to be one of the classic kid films that everyone should see. If you're a kid, you should definitely watch this at least once in your life. If you're an adult and you've missed it, you should definitely check it out. Or if you're an adult and you saw it, you should watch it again just for nostalgia purposes. Now for documentaries, I chose the film Trophy Kids. This one follows a couple of different families with kids from about ages 8 to 15. It's about parents who actually push their kids a little bit to the limits in some cases to excel or be pushed into sports and excel at them so that they may get a scholarship and into college and maybe one day onto the professionals. I'm not really sure what caught my attention for this film. I don't know if it was the picture on Netflix. I'm not sure if it was the story. I was just looking for a documentary. But whatever it was, I definitely feel like I came out of this film learning something. That watching these parents push these kids to their near breaking point, or even some of their own crazy ideas with pushing them with kind of like pills and vitamins and stuff like that, pushing them to excel in sports, to pretty much give up being a kid in order to focus on sports instead of their education or focusing on having friends or really just being a kid. I feel like this one really taught me something in the way that I want to become a parent myself and to let my kids really be kids. If they want to go and do something, I want to encourage it, but I don't want to push it to the point where I drive them crazy and then I drive myself crazy. I don't want it to seem like I'm pushing my ideas and all of my unfulfilled dreams onto them. I want them to have their own lives, and this really kind of showed me that. I'm not sure if it'll have the same effect for you, but it's definitely a very powerful documentary in the way that it's told and how you see these different families interact and how they push their kids actually to the point where some of the coaches of the kids get fired, which is kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of a very eye-opening experience into the life of kids that are doing sports and the families that push and kind of bully them into it. It's just very interesting, and you should definitely check this one out. So for romance and drama, although it's really more of a drama than a romance, I chose the film The Shawshank Redemption. Now this one's about two men who are going through prison, not necessarily together for the same reason, but who actually meet in prison and encounter several adversities, and through various acts of kindness sort of find themselves and find the brighter side of prison and what really helps themselves grow as people instead of being all rage-filled and whatever else happens in prison. I'm not sure. I've never been to prison. So if you haven't heard of this film, it is actually the #1 rated film on IMDb's list of favorite films, as well as being on just about every single list of best films of all time. You should definitely check this one out. It's got a great storyline, great concepts, it's got amazing visuals, it's got not necessarily rags to riches, but a road to redemption story is a better way to put it. A man who's put in this tough situation being in prison, overcomes these various adversities, actually meets some nice people who've done some bad things, but he grows and he really makes connections with these people, and there's a big overall concept inside this movie that is actually it really teaches you something, which is kind of nice. But even if you don't watch it for just being like such an amazing film, you have to watch it for Morgan Freeman. Who doesn't love the soothing sounds of Morgan Freeman's voice? It's just so lovely. Now on to television. So I've decided to go with the TV show The Flash. Now this one is based on the DC superhero who you might be able to see behind me. I'm not sure exactly where he is, somewhere up here. But he's based on Barry Allen, the forensics, I suppose, forensic scientist. Messed that up. Who cares? Well, it's going to go in the video anyway. He's a forensic scientist for the police department who gets accidentally struck by lightning and gives him powers, the powers being able to run at super speed. He decides to use his powers for good and fight evil throughout his city, essentially becoming a superhero, getting the superhero suit, fighting the various villains. It's just an overall fun story. Now, despite this being a CW show with overlying unnecessary drama and some of the tensions are kind of it's kind of like, it's a CW show just based on how some of the visuals are with the romance-related stuff. But it's amazing show. It has great visuals, has a great storyline. It's absolutely probably one of the best comic book adaptations onto a screen, although it is television and not film. But because it is television, I feel like they get a little bit better chance to develop each of the characters. They can actually grow the whole universe instead of rushing into something like Batman vs. Superman, where Batman sends Wonder Woman an email that has various Justice League characters in it. She just opens it and we get introduced to the Justice League. No, it's nothing like that. We actually see the development of this character, his relationships with people, his relationships with his coworkers, his relationships with his family, how it grows, how it affects him, and the villains he has to overcome. It's definitely a fun show to watch. The first season is on Netflix, just the first season. The second season is currently airing on the CW. I think it still has a couple episodes left. But when it ends and the next season is about to come on later this year, they'll put up season 2. So be sure to look out for it. It's definitely a fun show. Great things are happening on the show right now, and I can't wait to watch it again. Now for horror. I've chosen the film Oculus. Now this one is about two siblings who get together after about 10 years and investigate their parents' murder, which I believe the brother was accused for. But their whole theory is that it revolves around this mirror that was in their house at the time. Some spooky things happen, but it's definitely a fun concept. This is by far not one of the most critically acclaimed horror films. It does have its jump scares here and there, but I definitely liked a lot of the concepts that they put in it. There's one scene in particular that I liked a lot, which hopefully if you've seen it, you can talk to me about in the comments below. But it was probably one of my favorite scenes I've seen in a horror movie in a long time. Just the idea of it, I loved. But this movie is definitely worth checking out. Again, it has great concepts, great visuals. It gives you a little bit of jump scare here and there, but it's definitely a fun horror film. Fun horror film. What? What's a fun horror film? I don't even know. Finally, for the classics, I chose the film A Clockwork Orange. Now, this one follows a group, well, it follows more of the individual, but the leader of a group of cronies who go about London causing various crimes and doing various devious things. Eventually, he gets caught, sent to prison. Well, I'm not sure if it's prison or jail. I think it's more of a jail than a prison. But he gets sent to jail. And then as a way to rehabilitate him, he goes through various psychological trials, and he does some very controversial things in order to get to be free again. Now this one, like I said, it does have some very controversial subject matter, as well as some very controversial visuals, and might be a little bit disturbing to some of you, but it's definitely a classic. This one was done by Stanley Kubrick, who has done a ton of visionary films, including 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Shining, and The Clockwork Orange. Just the visuals of this film are absolutely amazing. The storyline and some of the concepts are, again, amazing. There's tons of underlying messages of this film that you may not get on a first viewing, but they'll definitely stick with you. The visuals alone will stick with you. Kubrick was a master of that. Visuals are definitely what he did best. And this is one of the films where he really shows that, and it's definitely worth watching at least one time in your life. Alright guys, that's it for the best of Netflix for this week. Be sure to let me know what you guys think about these picks in the comments below. Be sure to stay tuned for next week for some even more fun videos and suggestions that I have set up for you guys. While you wait for those, don't forget to go back on my channel and watch all the videos that you haven't seen. There's tons of good stuff in there, and I need more views, I need more likes, I need more subscribers. I feel like I'm putting out some pretty good stuff here. How can you guys not love it? I'm definitely feeling the love though, and I thank you very much for all of your help in helping me share my videos and really get out there. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Please, please, more of that. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you in the next one. That was the first time I met Andy Dufresne. I feel like whenever I do that impression, I'm doing more Cleveland doing Morgan Freeman than I'm actually doing Morgan Freeman.